Want to be mindful of everyone's time, so we're going to go ahead and get started now. There are a few more people that'll be signing on, and this webinar will be recorded and posted on our YouTube webpage, and you should be receiving a link after the webinar to be able to access it on demand. So today is the first time that we do this new style of big picture webinar as far as tips, tricks, and sneak peeks. So myself, my name is Michelle Jackson, and I am the Big Picture Product Manager. And we also have Robin online from London. Robin, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Excellent,
Hello,
and I can
everyone.
hear you. Excellent, excellent, excellent. So the two of us are going to kind of walk through a few of some of the tips and tricks after working with Big Picture for a few months now, some of the things we've learned to make it easier. And in the meantime, if anyone would like to chime in or send questions to me, feel free to do so. Just type them in either the chat section or the questions section that is provided by GoToWebinar. And while Robin takes care of a segment or a portion of this presentation, I will be able to either manually answer via typing back, or I can at least address them to the group as a whole. So I encourage your feedback. If you're brand new to Big Picture, we might be flying through some stuff a little quicker than normal, and I highly recommend after viewing this webinar that you go back and check out the Intro to Big Picture webinar that exists out there, because today truly is um, something that we're going to, just kind of plow through a few things. And someone did say, should I bail from this? No, do not bail from it. This will still help you a great deal. It just, we're not going to go through the concepts of why mind mapping is important, etc. But definitely worth staying on board and watching, because you will see some neat new features that'll help you in your exploration of Big Picture as well. So thank you for that question, so that nobody bails just off the cuff here. So the first thing I'm going to show you is actually brand new. It's in development right now, and just so you know, the status right now of Big Picture is that we've added a lot of new features that'll be in the update, and it is a free update, so don't worry about having to upgrade and pay money or anything like that. It is a free update. So what you see today may not exist in the well, a lot of it will not exist in the downloadable version that you'll get, but in just a few weeks, maybe the end of February, the latest, I see this actually being in your hands, hopefully. And if not, I hate saying a time date, because who knows what could happen in testing or development. But right now, it is in the final testing stages, and we are in the process of getting a lot of the code translated to foreign languages. So that's usually a good sign that it's coming soon. But I hate those words, coming soon, because you never know how soon is. So let's go ahead and get started. First of all, um, Big Picture. Big Picture does reside in Excel, so for those that are new to Big Picture resides directly in Excel as an add-in. So you're going to see Big Picture show up as a tab in your Excel. So you're going to download the Big Picture trial, and after you install it, you can double click on the Big Picture icon that will exist on your desktop, and that will launch Excel with Big Picture already plugged into it. Alternatively, if you have Excel already open and you would like to add Big Picture into the ribbon, you can also have Excel open and again double click on the Big Picture launch icon from your desktop, and that will also just simply add it into the Excel version that you are in at that time. So the beauty of it is the fact that you can be comfortable in an environment such as Excel, because a lot of us are familiar with Excel. The first thing I'm going to show is essentially an outline of some of the stuff that we're going to cover today, but I'm showing you this outline in kind of a drab way. We're going to do an introduction, which we just did. We'll show you some free-form mapping and how to utilize the outline pane, some auto-arrange stuff, resizing in Excel, tags for color formatting, and some auto-generated maps, which you'll understand more by the end of today, and some slideshows. So this is our outline for the day, right? Pretty boring, pretty drab. What I want to show you is that I can copy, so I just did Control C on my keyboard here. I can copy that outline, go to my Excel spreadsheet where BigPicture resides. Click on this outline view, and it's going to ask me, do you want to use the outline to create a new map on this worksheet? I'm going to click OK, and it's going to bring up the outline pane. This is a feature within BigPicture. And if I click on this top section here where it had new topic, this little down arrow is an icon that represents importing a text outline from the clipboard. So remember, I just copied from the workbook from the Microsoft Word document onto the clipboard. So now I'm going to go ahead and download it into this outline. And it says insert copied data in outline starting at map sheet 1. Yes. So I'm going to click OK. And it's going to build a map for me out of that outline, which is pretty slick because if anyone's familiar with any kind of mind mapping out there or mapping out stuff in Excel, that would take some time to do. So our programmers have kindly provided us an easier way of doing that. Now, when you are in BigPicture, and this is something that we have shown in the intro thing, but I feel like I should touch on it because I do see some new names. There's something called auto arrange. This auto arrange basically just keeps things nice and neat and tidy. So I'm going to leave that on while I play with a few outline adjustments here. And on top of that, I want to show you just using the single expand idea here. If I put the single expand on, what happens is if I collapse down this branch and I expand it back out, this part will automatically collapse because it's basically saying I only want to look at one thing at a time. So I can also click here and it'll automatically collapse that above there. And if I expand out here, we have this one open. Now, if I deselect single expand, I can still draw out additional things here. And because of auto arrange, when I draw out, if there's something in the way, it's automatically going to adjust it for me, which is pretty fantastic. So if you can see here, I mouse here. When I get a red square, that means that I can click and draw out. Now the tips and tricks part about this is for those that are familiar with kind of doing this freeform mapping, I just want to make an effort to show you how do I get those red boxes to show up? How come they're not showing up right now? You have to actually mouse on the inside of the topic to get those red squares to show up. And those are those connection points that you can click and drag out and click and drag out. And you'll notice as I'm clicking and dragging out, it is also doing it here. It's adding these new topics here. So if I click here, if I click on any one of these, it'll open up to that topic. It'll bring me to that topic. And I can actually say, okay, in linked maps, if we do the serial example here, I can type in, oops, serial, hello. I could do serial example, and it'll automatically label the topic here, even though I'm editing it in the outline. So super handy to be able, everything is dynamically linked and will update automatically. Now, in addition to that, the collapsing icon. So you saw me be able to expand and collapse. Now, what if I want to collapse these two right here? But there's no collapse icon. Where's the collapse icon? Where's that little red square? The way you get that red circle, the way you get that red circle to appear is to mouse over that topic on the side where that branch is. So if you notice, if I go midpoint, it still doesn't show up. It looks like I want to draw out. If I go to the right, it's going to give me an option to either draw by clicking on the red square or collapse by clicking on the red X. So I can collapse and expand right there. Now, what if I only wanted to collapse one of these branches? If I click on the individual connector, it will collapse, and it'll still leave that other one. It's still there, but I can actually click on a connector and collapse just that one branch. So, if you're trying to focus on one thing on your branch at a time, or one thing in your map at a time, this also, in addition to the single expand option, gives you that opportunity. So, um, so that this basically, and if you notice, as soon as I click on any one of these topics, you're going to go ahead and see it appear in this outline. So you can see it here. It's connecting linked maps to serial. And I can actually change this and say demo. And it'll actually put a label on that connector itself, which is pretty neat. So if I collapse and expand, you'll see demo. So you can actually label your different connectors directly from this outline pane, which is also super helpful. So that shows us a little bit of just the freeform mapping. Not to me, that what's super exciting is seeing that outline just produce a map that I go, yay! But the other thing I want to show you is that if I take off auto arrange and I move these things around a bit, okay, if I move these things around a bit and I want to align these three in a straight line, I can actually select these three topics, and you can use Shift or Control, click on those, and then you can go to this Format tab, the Excel Format tab, choose Align, and Align Center, and it'll automatically align center. Then if I want to make sure they're distributed evenly, I can go here and say I would like to distribute them vertically, and it'll keep the same amount of space in between each of those. Now, what if I wanted to resize all of these all at the same time? I can just, while they're selected, click on the corner here and adjust them accordingly. Or I can use this up in the top right corner. I can actually enter in 0.5, 1.5, and it'll expand that out. And maybe I do these as 0.5, and it'll expand it out. Shrink it down. So I can actually size using Excel's standard features there. So now these are a little far out. We want to move them all in. I can just click them all and move them in, and I can adjust and play with them that way. Now, what if I want to group these as a separate entity? There is something called attach shape. And this is something we don't usually cover in our intro, but we can attach a boundary to the back of this, which is nice in the sense that it'll automatically be linked so that if I expand this up, the boundary will also expand up. And then I can actually type things in the boundary itself. So I'm able to also add some annotation to that particular portion of the map. Now, what if I want to move all of this because it's hugging that left side of the worksheet quite a bit? I can actually go to Big Picture and use the Select tool. And I'll be honest with you, the Select tool is going to become your best friend when freeform mapping. So you can select all topics, and when you select all topics, it actually also includes the connectors, and I can just click and move them over. And you see it brings that boundary shape with it. If I only want to move one, if I only want to select, like say I want to select this one and these three because I want to change the color of them, I can select this and I can go up to the select tools here, or I can right mouse click and access those select tools right from the Big Picture pop-up menu. And I can say select topic and children, it'll select the topic and children, and then we can go through what we've covered in the past as far as filling in different colors to make it match, what have you. If I select here and I say select topic and children, but I actually really just want the connectors, I can then also go in and say select only connectors between selected topics. So again, select only connectors between selected topics, and you'll see it'll select only the connectors there. And when I do that, it'll also add those into here as well. So if I want to change the coloring of those, again, I can right click and change the color of those lines as well. So those are just some free-form mapping tricks there to just show you a little bit. Now, there is a brand new feature coming out that is called tags. And what tags does is tags will assign a formatting based on whatever the tag is. So it's probably easier for me to add some tags to this map so that you can see the difference. But basically what I can do is if I say freeform maps, I can right click on it. And unfortunately, you know what, I gotta pull it over here because it's showing up on my other screen. If I right click on here and I say tags, it'll bring up the tags window. And I can actually say importance, freeform maps, medium importance. It'll automatically color and tag that topic with medium importance. And you can then do, intro. I'm going to say the importance there is low. It doesn't matter who I am, doesn't matter who Robin is. You just want to learn how to operate in big picture, right? Auto-generated maps. Now, that one is something that is of high importance because this is where Big Picture truly stands out from other mapping softwares out there. So we will get into that as well, I assure you. And Robin has a real great, excellent live updating example too. So it will color code these. So now we have medium, low, high. Well, what determines those colors? Where did we get these colors from? Why is it formatting those green, orange, red? Where is that? Well, what you do is if you go to the Big Picture ribbon and you click on tags, you can actually say View Tag Formats Worksheet. And if I view Tag Formats Worksheet and I scroll down, you're going to see down at the bottom there's importance low. And it's a green and a dashed line and a light green here. And this one is orange and this one is red. Now, what if I decide I don't really want red, I want a blue in there? I can actually change the format here to blue, okay? And I can change this one to a blue arrow as well. I can change this to blue as well. Okay, actually we'll do a lighter color there so we can kind of be able to write on it, have the text show up a little easier on those. So I can adjust these here. And if I close the tags format sheet, you notice it hasn't updated yet here. What we have to do here is just go to refresh tag formats and it'll refresh the tag format and put in our new format there. So that is a fun little way of, maybe you do tags based on who in your company is responsible for certain tasks. So you can actually create your own groups by going into this tag section here, do manage tags. You can create your own group, so we could say employee, and then we can add, add a name here. This is going to be Robin, and this is going to be Michelle. And then I can say I would like to include formats. And if I save it as a default here, it will automatically add those tags into the list of tags for future maps as well. So I can save as default, and it will automatically bring it up. Oop, I got it chugging here. Whoops. Sorry, I have accidentally accessed my other one here. So hold on one second and I will make sure. I just accidentally collapsed that. The only drawback of having multiple windows is you tend to leave many open. It doesn't like that so much. So let me get our thing back in here. And note to self, you can always save things as you're going along, which I did not do to show you some of that extra stuff, but we can recreate that so you get an additional look at how to build that outline there. Okay, and then we can go in. I'm going to do those tags again here. We'll tag all of those. as, let's just go importance. Well, there's actually, if we actually colored, if we actually formatted Robin, we could say all of those are Robin. Um, and I haven't formatted those yet, but I could. So maybe the outline pane, all of that is Michelle. So I could say select topic and children, and I want to assign all of those to Michelle. And I could go in and do that, edit the formatting of those like I had shown you before by going here and view tags format thing, and in the bottom here you'll see there's Robin and Michelle. I can change, Robin to be that color. I'm just doing these quickly so that we can move on to a few other exciting things. So Michelle will be green, Robin will be the the te- terracotta color, and then I can go here and say refresh tag formats, and it'll automatically color those based on which employee is responsible. So this could be super powerful in the sense of a progress thing. I know when we rolled out Big Picture, we created a map of our marketing plan, and I used to use little markers, which we show in that intro thing as far as, add in little markers, little red flags to say who's responsible for what, where we are with progress. But now you can actually do that straight from using these tags, which is a great way, and it's a little more powerful because it colors the actual topics themselves. We also have what is called progress tags. So we got some tags here. So if you're looking at, 60% progress, that's how far down we are with this particular item. You can actually keep track of it here. So you could actually assign progress tags. Now, if I did 60% there and uh, let's do 20 there, and I'm doing these for a reason, 30 here. Now, when I go into the outline thing, if I click on this tags thing, you can see it has all these different groups all ready to go. Now I can actually click and drag these into intro is Michelle, freeform maps is Michelle, linked maps I could have Robin do. And now all of a sudden you see it's automatically color coding all of these. Then if I also want intro to have 20% in there, I can have intro add 20% in there as well. So we can color and then change it to have just the progress on top as well. So there's all different ways that just by clicking and dragging you can play and color without having to click on the individual topics and import the color yourself. Okay, so I think that covers quite a bit of the freeform mapping. What I'd like to do now is go to the auto-generated map. So I'm going to go ahead and close this out. I don't need to save it. And for those of you that are current users of Big Picture, in the new version that's coming out, there is a slight change in the help. Initially, you used to click on the help, and then it would bring down the drop-down menu that said help. Um, if you click on this help here, it's going to take you to our online Big Picture manual. Okay, and that's where you'll find all the new stuff. There will be a new article showing you all of these new features and instructions on how to do everything that we're doing now. But if you go to help here, there's now going to also be a PDF manual included with Big Picture. And we're doing that for those folks that will not have internet access, so they won't be able to access the online one. So, they won't have the video section of the manual, and they won't have the latest and greatest. They'll have the latest and greatest as to what gets released, but if there's any kind of items or ways that we find better to do something and we add it to our big picture manual, that PDF manual won't get updated until the next update or release of Big Picture. So if you want to access that online help, you can click here, or this can bring you to that PDF manual, which is right here. So you can see here. Now in this PDF manual, we will have it in a situation where, how do I start a new map? If I click on that, it'll bring me to that section in the manual just by clicking anywhere in our table of contents. So that should make it easier for those that don't have internet access. If feel like I'm flying through this, and I apologize, but so much to cover. I had mentioned to Robin at the beginning before we started today, I wanted to do this tips and tricks because there's so much that we don't cover in our intro, but I feel like I could go another hour and a half showing you even some more stuff. So let's go ahead and go into our data maps. Now, the one that we've shown in the past was our power generation one. This is what we show in our intro to BigPicture uh, demo, our webinar. So if we go ahead and open this up, now if this was a brand new file, these variables would not be there, okay? And you would have to go in here and select your data. So I just want to show you that, example files are awesome to demo in webinars, but we tend to leave out what it feels like when it's your own data. Like, where do I begin? And the simple fact of it is you open up that data map thing, you click on this range selector, and you can either click and drag, or if you know how far it goes down, like maybe I don't want to include F here, maybe I don't want to include the row F, I can actually edit right here without having to reselect everything. So I could actually change that to I want column E to be selected instead. It's gonna, because I already have some items, it is gonna bark a little bit because we do refer the markers to this. So I'll make sure I remove those markers for this example. So if I remove these, when you first select your data, this is what it's going to look like. And you're going to say, what columns can I group on? How do I know what columns to group on? Well, if I click on that first, and this is not super intuitive, that's why I want to specifically mention it to those that may be new. When you click on that top line, it'll create this drop-down menu. If I click on that down menu, then it gives me the option to say state, primary energy source, or operating company. So maybe we want to sort on state, and then maybe we want to sort on primary energy. So just wanted to point out that in order to access these, just simply click on that top line and then click on the drop down arrow, and that'll bring up your list of possibilities to group on. Now, how does BigPicture figure out how to group things? Basically, BigPicture looks at your data and looks for any column that has repeated entities that are non-numeric, because if they're numeric, they're going to assume that you want some calculation done to it, and you want that to show up in the end topics. So for this one, we're going to do state and primary energy source. Then in the end topics, that's where we're going to go ahead and put that operating company, the plant name, and the capacity. And one thing I want to point out is and I know we mentioned it in our regular intro course, we do this roll up to group topics thing, and so we can go ahead and click here, and that will automatically make those calculations add up. Now, this is something that we don't typically cover. Roll up end topic count on to group topics means if I click here, it's going to count how many plants, how many operating plants are in each group, and it'll roll up that info and put it into that end topic. So I'm going to go ahead and create this map, and then we're going to come back to this dialog. So if I create this map, and I go here, you can see there are 10 plants in Illinois with a total capacity of 17,404. So this is where that bottom part, that little bit that we just added, is adding some more information for us. And then if we want to see what 4 plants have coal in Illinois, I can go ahead and expand out and see which 4. Now, for those of you that currently use BigPicture, you might look at this and say, hey, what happened to those little tables? With the new version, we actually are putting the end tables. We found that a lot of customers didn't like the fact that they had all these floating tables. So we're stacking all of the end tables in one area. So if I go here, I'm not going to do single expand, and I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to add these here so that we can look at all of the end tables. They're all nice and neat. They're all in one section, and these are all for Illinois. So now we can look at coal, gas, and nuclear without having to manually align them and make them nice and neat. We can actually see them all right here. And if you notice, as I open them, we no longer have that option of collapsing down or anything here, because it will keep that X down for the last one that you opened. So if I collapse that one down, I can close the last one. The other ones, we just simply close by here. Um, so one other thing while I'm here, I'm going to go back into that data map dialog, but before I do, I want to show you another new feature. Another new feature is the ability for BigPicture to take the formatting of the cells that are in your data file and apply that format to your end topic tables or to your end topics. And I'm going to color code all these based on conditional formatting. And if you're not familiar with conditional formatting in Excel, you just simply go to the Home tab, go to Conditional Formatting here, and I'm going to go ahead and highlight those. Okay, so now those are color-coded. And I'm going to go to our Data Map dialog, and we still have the same information that we have here, um, except that I am also going to add individual map topics, and it's going to bark at me because it's going to say you have too many, but I want to show you how it colors the individual topics. And then with Robin's example, I'll show you how it affects tables. So if I go here, I'm going to do individual topics. Now, I can actually, we've shown you how to add pictures in the intro one. We don't need any markers for this because we're not going to do the links for that. But I want to show you filters. Filters is a great way to, again, focus just on one thing at a time. So imagine you being the manager of different plants, or maybe you're the manager of the Illinois and Indiana plants. I only want to look at those. I don't want to look at Minnesota, Illinois, and Wisconsin and the other state there. So we're going to go ahead and pre-filter these topics. We're going to base it on state, and I only want to see Illinois and Indiana. Okay, so I click OK. Whoops, I had hit shift by accident instead of. So control click on the two items that I want. So Illinois and Indiana, those are the only two that I want to appear. As far as display is concerned, this is something we don't typically cover either, is how do we name that first link? So we'll call these, instead of Midwest, because we don't have all of them, we're going to call them Michelle's Power Generation. So I'm going to go in and create the map. And we can say, yeah, well, actually, I'll create a new one just because then we'll see the two comparisons. So you can see here, there's the title, Michelle's Power Generation. There's Illinois and Indiana. You notice there's no other ones. It's not because we're hiding them. It's because we filtered them. They still exist in our data, and we can still create alternate maps off of them. But at least for this particular map, I can go down here and say, I want to change this to be Michelle's power plants. Whoops. So then you could envision all of a sudden you're in charge of all the, maybe you're the manager of all of the managers of these, and you could actually create separate data maps based on which plants the individual is responsible for. Now if I expand this out and see coal, and I expand this out, now you can see it's graded, it's color-coded. These are color-coded based on, and I'm actually going to expand all. Again, this is something we don't normally cover. Collapse or expand to. I'm going to do no topics collapse. I just want to see all of this prettiness all in one shot. So I can look and see the green is the high producers, and the yellow are the lower, the lower middle producers. So, the bright yellow is the lowest. So you can actually go through and see, okay, which ones are our big ones. It's looking like these nuclear ones are pretty hot, just by skimming through. And wow, look at this coal one. These two coal ones are really pumping it out because they're the dark green. So at quick glance, you can see without much effort what it looks like. So with that, I'm going to pass the baton on to Robin so he can show us how to use Excel using live data off the web to create a data map. So I am going to say, Robin, I want you to be the presenter.
All right. Thank you, Michelle.
Absolutely.
Okay. As Michelle mentioned, I'm going to show you how to import data from a website. So as the website can update, your map or whatever you do with the data will update as well. I've chosen to take the information from this website, which just sort of gives you loads of different exchange rates for a whole lot of different currencies. What I'm doing now can be done in Excel on its own, or you can do it in BigPicture as well. So to do this, I went to the Data tab in Excel, and I clicked on there. This is already being used for data, so if you go to a clear cell, I said from web, and it popped open this pop-up box. And I pasted in this website that I had found, and I said go. And then it brought up this within Excel. And to choose the data, you just got to highlight the different tables you want, like this. And then I said import, and then it brought this through. I've already got it in, so I'm not going to bring it in again. So here we are. This is clearly all the data up from this website here. So it's got the tables at the top, and it's got all of this. It is tricky to sometimes find a website in the right format so you can get all the data tables that you'd like. But here we can see this is what we're interested in here, the currency and the rates that you get. So from all this data, I've taken everything I needed here, the different currencies, the best and worst rates, and the percentage you save. And then manually, I added in the continents. I had to do that so BigPicture was able to create a data map from it. And as Michelle pointed out earlier, you need to have different groups for BigPicture to create a data map. And so when I open the dialog box that we saw similar earlier, we got a continent here, and that's the only columns we can group on. And these are all the rest of the columns I've chosen to display in the end topic. And I suppose I could do a roll up here for a number of currencies within each continent. I've also got pictures to represent it as in a similar position to there. And then that's everything, I think. I've just got the exchange rates title. So I just create the map, and then it will quickly build upon my currency column here, my continent column here. So here we got all the different continents. You can see it's counted up the currencies. I'm just going to say at this point I've got the older version of Excel of BigPicture, so you can see this is what your data maps would appear like, unlike Michelle's, who has the separate column here. And this is what our normal end table looks like. So here you got our exchange rates here, and as I choose to refresh my data here, it will update the web data sheet, which in turn will update here as I've just referenced the cells, and then again it'll update in the end tables. So I'm going to do that quickly now. And you do that by going to data, and I just say refresh, and these numbers here, see, they've changed slightly. So we look at euros there, that's changed, and it's changed up in here, and then again in your end table the rates can change, and it's just a really powerful tool if you want to reference data from a website that's sort of constantly updating for things such as currencies, which change all the time. So that's what I've chosen to use as an example. So that's really useful. So you can just keep track of everything. It stops you having to redo all your different data sheets, and you can keep up to date with everything. So that was just something I thought was worth showing you, so you can sort of incorporate some tools within Excel into BigPicture. As BigPicture is a part of Excel, you can just use any tools you need, anything you'd normally use, you can just sort of add it into your map just to make it easier for you to sort of reference anything you need. So yeah, again, you can refresh your data to update your map, and because data maps use live data, which we've spoken about in our normal instructions, then you can also update your map simply by refreshing data. So that's something to consider. Alright, I'm gonna pass back to Michelle so she can show you how this appears in the updated version. So once you get the new BigPicture update, this is what things will look like. Okay, so I'm just gonna share my screen.
Excellent. 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 So make sure I show screen 2. Excellent. So I think, can everyone see my screen there, I hope? Robin, can you see that?
Yep, it's come
Excellent.
up.
Excellent. Um, so like Robin mentioned, and the reason we intentionally held Robin back on updating his software so that he can demo using the big picture that currently exists, and then I have the new one so you can see just some of the differences. So with Robin's data that I have here, same thing. So he sent me the file, and when he sent me the file, of course, the first time I ran the file and it was looking for pictures, I didn't have the pictures. So um, when I go to create this map, and I'm going to do it again here, it's going to pop up a message saying, "Whoa, you don't have the pictures." So I want to show you how you get around that. So essentially, if you were going to send a map to somebody and they were just going to view it, they can view it. As you can see here, they can view it. The pictures are there. It's in their end tables. You can see all the awesome flags um, that Robin included as far as pictures in the end tables. But if they were going to create a new data map because they wanted to change things, what's going to happen is when they get here and they say create map, it's going to say, I need a valid location because as you can see, admin UK is Robin. That is not Michelle's computer. So I need to let it know that I have the pictures on my machine as well. So now that it's going to create a new map, um, we can go ahead and say, I would like to include the pictures that are in the currency folder on my desktop. So there's Michelle's here. And another way around it would be to do the standard ... and then save it in the same directory as the initial file. But for now, we will stick with the desktop currency. Okay, so we have that. Then if I create the map, now it's not going to bark at me for that. It's going to just say, hey, do you want to create a new one? Yes, I want to create a new one. Now, the reason why I actually meant to redo this, and I just totally forgot to color my data for you, is I was thinking about the fact that how can that conditional formatting be used for this type of data set? Well, for this type of data set, we can go ahead and take this column of data and do that same conditional formatting. So maybe we say, you know, we're going to save a lot if it's red, or maybe we do vice versa because green is money. I don't know, but if we do save a lot when it's red, if I scroll through my data, you're going to see this big one, Asia, Philippines. You know that in the Philippines, that's where you want to go because you're saving a lot of money right now. Um, if you're using pounds conversion there. So This is such a neat data file. Good job, Robin. I love it. So now if I go through and I do my data map on this, create data map, we'll say no. So if I go ahead and create my data map, now you're going to see those colors show up here. And how cool if I take off single expand and I just add them here. Now we're going to be able to look at a few different ones at the same time and see where everything ranks. You know, this we don't necessarily want to go here because we're not going to save much. But here we're going to save a lot. So it just gives you a quick glance to kind of look at things. You could probably use this also for, where do your sales reps stand in their sales? Units sold, whether it, you know, are they on their goal, off their goal? The beautiful thing is your data itself, this can be pulled in from a live data thing. So again, just like he had done, if I go to data and say refresh all, you'll see it update here. I was thinking about it. And then it'll also update, so it refreshes here. It'll also update in all of our end tables too. So if we go to the end tables here, it'll also update here as well. So pretty cool stuff. So I know we're starting to get a little low on time here. So I do want to just quickly touch on the organization charts, and I also want to show how to export files and data maps and everything like that. So let's quickly go to an org chart, go here. Actually, I'm going to do this calculations one. So here is the standard org chart, and if you've done the intro to Big Picture webinar, you've seen that we've done some org charts with it. Again, I'm going to do that conditional formatting here because I want to show you how so I just basically did conditional formatting on salary. So the highest paid ones are going to be red, lowest paid will be green. So when I go ahead and do an org chart on this, it's going to color code those particular folks. Let's see here. So at quick glance, if I expand these out and do no topics collapsed, we're going to be able to see, and this makes sense, right? Because the highest paid are going to be typically your upper management, correct? So we can see here how the colors, are legit. There's red up top and the greens and yellows fall down here, but wow, Tammy Barr, she seems to be making a lot less compared to others here. Tammy and William Farnham, you know, understandable. William only has one person under him, but Tammy has four people. She's responsible for four people under her. Um, and it looks like Sheila Hart is making about the same amount of money here. So let's just take a look at what's going on, what kind of skill sets these two have, what kind of review she had, what have you. So now, Tammy and Will are two that I picked out. So let's just out of curiosity, instead of doing conditional formatting on salary, let's go ahead and clear the rules and let's do conditional formatting on their employee performance. Let's see where they stand there. So maybe that'll explain our issue. So if I go to Big Picture, Org Chart, Create Chart, I want to create a new one because I want to be able to toggle between the two. So then I'll have one chart colored by performance, one chart colored by salary, and now we're going to be able to see, why is this? Where do we stand with that? So, you know, so let's go ahead and again zoom out and no topics collapsed. So performance rating wise, we had, where's our Tammy Barr? Tammy Barr had a 7, and an 8 here. And so you can see they're kind of middle of the road. The 10s are great, but you know, there were other folks that are at the same level as Tammy that are making significantly more money. If we look at the chart here, you can see these two are making more, and that's without having to blast the salaries and have people looking directly at the salaries. So it's just a way to kind of use your eyes to see, like, wow, okay, Diana Miller got a 10. Maybe she's someone we start looking into, maybe moving up in the ranks in our company, or maybe, I hate to say it, but maybe it's the reversal. You're cutting costs, and you got to figure out who on the team needs to go. Well, let's take a look at Cynthia Waters here. She got a 4 on her review. Is something going on? Let's touch base with her. Where did she stand? She was kind of, middle of the road here for salary. And you can explore things just by looking at visual cues. And that's what mapping is all about. It's taking your data and putting it into a picture so that you can really kind of just grasp things a little easier. So that shows you that part of it. The last thing I'm looking at, I have so many things that I did not cover because this is our first time running through this, but I do want to also touch base on um, going back to freeform mapping a bit. I'm going to close out this org chart. Actually, before I close this out, the other factor of the org chart that I want to show you is not only creating a report. You can create that report that we've shown you in the other one, where if I create my report, I can send my report with the org chart to others that don't have that don't have BigPicture, and they can view it in Excel. So they can view this in Excel, but I also want to be able to show you, if I take this org chart, I can, say, expand a few of these out here. I can actually export this as a PDF. So again, I can go here to export map to PDF. And it'll say, do you want the visible topics or the entire map? If I only want the visible topics, I can do just the visible topics, and it'll create that. Yes, you can tell I've done this a couple times. So you can see here, it'll export out to a PDF that you can then print out. And note, this is only at 53.4%. If we zoom in on that to 100%, it's pretty clear to see the items in that map. So that shows you our export function. Another function we have that we don't typically bring up too often is our import function. If you are a mind mapper but would like to add data to those mind maps, you can actually import that mind map, play with it in the outline, add some tags, add some data, and now you have a whole new scenario. The other item that I'd like to show is our slideshows. Like I mentioned, I want to show our slideshows and freeform mapping. So let's go to our example spreadsheets, and I'm just going to pull up a basic one here. I'm going to just pull up travel costs. So this is a very simple data set, has some data. This is showing you, instead of doing a data map, this is showing you items that are actually linked to a data thing. So similar to the map that Robin did, this is data that when you update it, it will change the values that are in your map. But this map is a free-form map. It wasn't created from a spreadsheet of data. It was simply created by linking these values into these topics. So if I click on this topic, it's going to say Rome to Barcelona. We got that information from topic info in A22. So if we go here and we say A22, we get the topic. I'm sorry, that actually is not correct. That's actually rolling up from these. So this one will actually be created from the data here. So it's linking directly to here. So when we have this freeform map open, maybe I want to create a slideshow with it. How do I create a slideshow from this data? Well, I can go here to slideshow, and I can say I want to add a slide, and I want to select which slides I want to start off with. The first one I'm going to start off with is slide number 1. Then if I want to add, so that's just your intro slide. Then I want to add another slide, and on that second slide I want to keep that every topic from the first slide open. So I'm going to do all prior slides, so there's my total cost of the trip. And for the second option, I want to just show all of these here. So we want to show total airfare, total train, total meal, total entrance, total cost of purchases. And we have all those. Then for the third slide, I just want to open up and just do total train costs because we're only focusing on trains today. How's that? We can open up these, and then, or maybe we do this, and then we add a new slide and we do this one, and we add a new slide and we do this one and this one. So now when I play this out, it's going to walk us through this. So I'm going to play it out, and there's slide 1, there's slide 2, there's slide 3, there's slide 4, there's slide 5. So you can either, so this gives you that preview. Now, maybe I want to annotate this. How do I annotate this? Because there's no, I did see a slideshow in the intro one that had the annotation. How do I annotate this? I don't know where to go. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of this and say OK, because that's going to be what we want. If I go down here and I say unhide, actually, I need to be playing my slideshow, don't I? Okay. If I go down here, we're in slideshow mode, and I say unhide, it should actually, I'm sorry, unhide. It is not bringing it up. Well, we're going to find out why in a bit. I'm not sure why that's not showing up. So it might be because I have my new version here. So I'm just going to make a note of that, and we'll show you that in the next tips and tricks. Just making a note of it. And Robin could probably show it easily on his, but I see we're running out of time here. But while I'm here, I can also show you that there are slideshow controls, so you can kind of treat this almost like a PowerPoint. So if I did full screen, it will get rid of the ribbon, so you don't even feel like you're in Excel. And then I can do autoplay. I can click on autoplay and have it run through all of it. Or I can do the normal view here. So you can toggle between the two. And I can also, instead of doing autoplay, do next to click through, or I can use the slides up here as well. So that kind of covers some of the slideshow things. The other thing I'd like to show quickly is just when you're doing some freeform mapping, and I'm going to just draw it off of here. When you're doing freeform mapping here and you want to really utilize this outline capability, you may want to change your map settings here to say always label topics, because what it'll do is it'll just give you a little extra guideline as to where things belong. So if I add different items off of this, it'll actually show me total cost of trip 77172. So now I know which one I'm referring to when I'm doing the freeform mapping. So that's just another little tip here, so that then I can kind of go in here and say, and if I just hit tab, it'll automatically go to the next one down, so that you can actually create those rather quickly without having to click and enter and click and enter. You can actually create a template. So I could do a new topic here. Maybe you do a template of your team. Maybe you do some network marketing, and you have a template of your team that has, top level management with 4 people underneath. Oops, I'm trying to go too quick because I'm running out of time here. Um, I can create these guys. Did it again. Here, and then you can tell I'm having difficulty there, which is great because now what I can show you is if I go here and I click on B, I can say new topic up at the top, and it'll actually do it out for me. So you can see here. So it'll draw it out for me there. So there are a variety of new ways with the outline feature. The the outline pane is going to become a real powerful tool for you. The other tool for you is going to be really the topics. The topics pane, if you haven't explored the topics pane much, I highly recommend taking a look at that and playing around with that a bit. But that should pretty much wrap it up. I want to be mindful of your time. And for anyone that has had some questions, I will absolutely reach out to you directly. Robin, do you have any other closing words? I can't believe how fast 1 hour went. That's pretty wild.
No, well, yeah, it sort of highlights all the great changes we made, really. But no, just thanks for joining us, and feel free to reach out if you've got any further questions.
And you brought up a great point there just by saying all the different changes that we made. I do want to just emphasize the fact that a lot of our changes that we've made in this new release of Big Picture that's coming out has been in direct connection with customer feedback. Our developers are very much curious to find out what it is that our users would want. How can we make Big Picture better? So please don't hesitate to send suggestions our way. If you find something doesn't kind of work quite the way you want it to, send it. Doesn't mean it's going to definitely get in there? No. But is there a chance? Absolutely. So don't hesitate to send us some information. So again, thank you so much for joining us, and we will send the link for the recording of this, and I will take a look at. I do see quite a few questions here, so I'll take a look at those and email those out to everybody. Thank you for joining us, and have a wonderful afternoon or day or evening, depending on where you're joining us from. Bye for now.